folks, welcome back for another episode of Our Journeys, and we are joining the game in a very precarious place. Magacket, the mighty Magacket, who did very well in the tournaments that I've seen him in, is up against Platinum Bandicoot, who I have become familiar with over the course of these videos, and if I'm not mistaken, he's a good fellow, top 10 player, but right now he is pouring the damage onto Magacket, and Magacket has a ton of drain waiting in the wings, just absolutely no way to play it. So he is gonna, he's gonna heal a little bit. That puts him out of immediate danger. He's got a Dark Guardian and a, there we go. So it's a gamble. It's a gamble. It is a gamble because of, I mean, well, Platinum, if you top decks a Lightning Bolt, that's just donezo. Does not, okay. And hey, look, kudos to Platinum Bandicoot. This Dunmer Nightblade doesn't get a lot of love. I like her. I think she's great. I mean, she's essentially a 4/4 for 2. I'm sorry, a 4 attack for 2.
So do I.
She's just a little slow. Okay, so we have, okay, so this is kind of tipping my hand. I actually, in order to make sure that I get the 2 videos done this week, I decided to do them back to back. And so if you watch our last video on Monday, we ended with a crushing defeat for Arrakis. He'd been doing really well against a Slay Ebonheart, had stabilized and was in a good position and had been very patient. We noticed that he was, because at that point his opponent had a ton of Magicka. It was up to 18 or something, but he had no cards. He was top decking. And Arrakis had kind of just kept that pace, kept it going slow. But then he kind of made a bit of a misplay and went face when he couldn't finish him off, and it gave him just enough cards. He was able to get the Night Talon Squish combo going, and that in combination with Naryu on board, the guy just took off, and Arrakis fell several turns later. And so that just happened. We just got another, and Arrakis was actually the one who said, I screwed up. I should not have gone face until I was prepared to end the game. I should have just waited a little bit longer till I had a better board. And I 100% agree. That's how you, and as I said at the last video, that's how you keep the game in as best in your control as much as possible, by making the smart plays. And here we go. Magacket, again, the inverse of that is all now himself being able to stabilize against Platinum Bandicoot and just really just pouring it on. And I don't know that Platinum's going to be able to recover from that. But so Arrakis said that was a mistake to do that. That said, his opponent could have, I can't remember which card he drew when, but he could have been sitting on a Squish and or the Night Talon Lord for several turns, and the next card he got, whether, no matter what it was going to be, whether he got it off of the extra hits from Arrakis or whether he got it from just drawing it organically the next turn, Night Talon Lord and Squish, and that's what turned the game around. The draw and the squishing a guard and those kinds of things. So he still could have, the misplay wouldn't have cost him the game if his opponent didn't actually have the ideal draws. And his opponent also had Poopstone and Night Mother. That was on 16. It was four away from proccing, so it was dangerous. Luckily, the Deuce came down, was able to end that, but you got a lot of value off of Poopstone, as does tend to happen. All right, so not too bad here, but Magacket has burned through all his resources, and he is he does not have what he needs in order to finish this off. Happy to see a Tribunal.
Let's shed some light.
Okay, so not sure if that was just a very lucky turn for Platinum. I'm guessing Platinum's running a ton of intelligence and just a few, perhaps dual attribute cards to give him the assassin. All right, so there we go. Nice bit of draw there from Magacket. Oh, and that's the 3. That's what he needs. He's able to get it. Oh, nicely done. Nicely done, Magacket. I don't know why I said it like that, but yeah. All right. GG. Nice comeback. Never doubted you for a second. And that's true, I didn't. Well, I mean, I thought he could be in some trouble, but I didn't. So here we go. Arrakis also said, also we got card draw into card draw into card draw one turn. But that, my opponent's draw, is outside of what I have control over. Exactly what I was saying. What I do have control over is when I start to hit face, and I was clearly not prepared for it on board or in hand. That is very well said, and I'm happy to be able to spread that wisdom to those watching. Exactly right. That I mean, on point. That's what he can control. And so you can't discount it. But as he said, his opponent drew into draw. But you never know how that's going to play. So you just... Ooh, and yet again, boy, this is the second... Oh, but look what we're seeing here. Look at this guy. Look at this Gooby dude right here. He's still doing things. Well, okay, he's been silenced, but he's still he's here. I think to this is the first time I've seen somebody I've played him myself. I've never seen him played at any other point. So, Dan, congratulations. I believe you are the first, well, I just call him Mohawk. Modern Orion. Okay, I'm just going to call him Mohawk. But that is the first time I've seen him play. I don't think he's all that bad, especially in a Slay deck, I think, because it creates targets for you. They're not targets, but they're low health critters in order for you to benefit off of it. Ooh. So yeah, I do like the Slay thing going on here. Not a big fan, obviously, of it being lethal, and I don't think Edmorn has an answer for it. Well, yeah, okay, does not. No. Well, yeah, no, he doesn't. If it was just the big guy, that would be. Oh wait. Oh, I forget. Yes, actually it does. And if he can lightning bolt, yeah, okay, so it does. I wait, yeah, because he would have to hit him twice. So unless Dan has a way to enhance his beastie there, that is going to be a heads up play from Edmorn that is going to spare him. I mean, rage would be anything that allows him to hit. There you go. 2 cards left, and he had a rage. Oof. Man, this has been between the last one and this one. And again, as I said, full disclosure, I'm doing these back to back. Not something I normally do. I was just determined. I don't know how this week is going to go. I'm trying to get a bunch of my personal life stuff squared away. So I wanted to make sure I got this done. And so I'm watching these back to back. And so it's the trend of the day is continuing, whereas normally it would be a completely different dynamic. So it just has been the trend for us to see our friends put up a stalwart defense and then get stymied by our opponent. Like anytime, if your opponent has like 10 cards in his hand, it doesn't feel too bad when there's the answer. When your opponent's got 2 or 3, it's just really, really painful. And as we saw with the last game, when it takes them forever to figure out, like you've got 3 cards, it doesn't take you, you don't have to be a mathematical genius to sort out what you need to do. So I would say the opponent slow rolled that one. And then in the last one, our opponent slow rolled another one where it's like the answer is obvious. Like there's no question. It's not like, well, weighing the pros and cons. Like this is the play to make. If you have this card, you make this play 100% of the time. It's very hard to be convinced that this really was, turning the gears in the old mind. But then you go, well, then why? Why did it take that long? And it's always better to assume the best, obviously. But it's hard to do so sometimes because, people are people. And I've heard people say, I rope sometimes just because if I'm in a bad mood or if I've had a rough time on it, I'll screw with people. And they say it as if it's like just a casual thing, like, it's just me being a jerk. And I'm like, there's no good thing about being a jerk. Like it's never a good thing. But here's something I will say, folks. I want to have a discussion about this at some point. There's some deep psychological thing to this thing. So the other day, I took my motorcycle in to get fixed. And on the way home, I probably was interacting with passively, let's just say safely, 300 cars at different points. Cars that pass me, I pass cars, they change lanes, whatever. And not a single problem with any of them. Everything went very smoothly. But I got to one of the lights, and I'm slowly making my way up to light. Now, mind you, I don't have I do not subscribe necessarily to the idea that I need to have the loudest motorcycle, because I know from when ambulances come by, you know, you're supposed to pull over. Depending where they're coming from, a lot of times I can't freaking tell where the heck the noise is coming from. It's bouncing off buildings. I don't know if the thing's coming from behind me, whatever it takes until I can finally see the lights before I can figure out where they're coming from. And I think that's the same thing. And it's been the same thing in my experience with motorcycles. Sometimes I'm like, oh, they're right behind me. And sometimes it's like, I hear a motorcycle. Where the heck is it? And I'm looking around and I can't find the darn thing. That said, I don't rely on that. So I actually have, fortunately, the guy that I bought the motorcycle from has a switch on it. If you turn on the high beams during the day, it will make the headlight pulse. So it's a visual way to say, hey, I'm here. Okay, let's see. I'll take a pause in my story. If I can help someone with what I wrote, then I'm happy. By the way, it's good advice for real life too. Focus on what you want and can change, not what you can't. Amen. Absolutely. Focus on what you can change, not what you can't. And it's also better for you if you can blame your mistakes on something that you did versus, and I mentioned this before in another video, it's much easier to process a defeat or a mistake if you can understand, or something bad that happens, if you can realistically and justifiably point to something that you could have done better, because it is empowering in a way, because it lets you know, okay, I don't know how it would have turned out if I hadn't done this, but because I did that, it did lead to this result. So it means in theory that I can avoid that in the future. Whereas sometimes things happen and you're just going, that's why it stings, it hurts. Let's not beat around the bush. It is an egregious wound when you're hurt by another human being with no provocation, whether that's because of an accident on their part, particularly if it's an accident involving negligence or them just making stupid decisions, which I guess would be more of an incident or an allegation of incidents, hints and allegations. Getting charged of the Black Hand Messenger. Wow, that's fabulous, Poopstone. You're really firing on all cylinders. Because it does give you that sense that you can change your fate, that you have control over the destiny. But when it's somebody else doing it, because you don't have control over the people, you can't control other people's actions. You can only control what you can control. And so it's part of, I think, what makes that such a painful thing is it's an unnecessary thing. It's not a natural disaster. It's not something that was unavoidable. It's a human being choosing to hurt or harm another human being. It's a very painful thing to process, and it makes it even harder because now you understand, well, that's part of humanity. Humanity does have a dark side, and so you get impacted by what just happened to you, and then you realize there could be another jerk out there who wants to do the exact same thing, and you can't live in fear, but it does make you aware of those types of things. Anyway, so yeah, as Arrakis was saying, if you can, like for him, he knew he made a mistake, and his opponent got very lucky, but he chose to focus on his mistake because that's something he can change, and it gave him control over that game. He ultimately could have, now, as I said, opponent could have still won. That's not a definitive thing, but he did not do everything that he could do to make sure that he won the game. And that's something that I need to, remember and want to remember when I'm playing the game or doing anything else. If I don't succeed, look first at what I could have done better. And you still may be able to say, hey, look, I know for a fact that wouldn't have changed anything because X, Y, and Z still would have happened. But at least it's a way of learning from the situation and then also giving yourself some more agency and not just feeling you're being tossed about by fate. But getting back to my story, like I said, 300 people I probably interacted with, no harm, no foul. I was pulling up to a light kind of slow, and I got my point was the light was strobing, so I'm about as visible as I can be. The engine's pretty decent for an SV650. It's not, I don't put anything on it to make it louder, but it kind of has a natural, it's kind of got a beefy sound to it. But anyway, for whatever reason, this person did not see me, wasn't really paying attention, and just slowly eased over into my lane, like right in front of me, where I had to kind of pull, jerk the handlebars a little bit and pull over. It wasn't an aggressive move on his part, and it wasn't intentional, but it definitely it cut me off, and I had to stop and adjust. But as this person was pulling over, he rolled down his window and waved and was like, sorry, I'm sorry. Like, I couldn't hear him because I had, headphones in there, but he's like, he's waving, I'm sorry, kind of waving. And I waved back and I felt really good. And it's an interesting thing. 300 people that were doing the right thing, that, we had no issues, no conflicts or anything like that. And there, obviously there was no ill feelings, but it wasn't like I felt good about the fact, like I never wasn't riding going, oh, it's so nice that, I'm around so many people and none of us are getting in each other's way. But this one person, by virtue of doing something, now granted, it was a low key thing. He didn't actually hit me, knock me off the bike, hurt the bike, do anything like that. It was a very genteel cut off. It was like the most polite, like nice way of interfering with my progress. But the fact that he immediately apologized and was just very like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. That felt good. Not, oh, you apologize or you recognize, but it was just the kindness of a stranger to just be like, oh, hey, I didn't mean to do that. So it's almost like somehow it was more friendly to have somebody make a mistake and apologize for it than it is just for people to just do the right thing all the time. Now, I'm not telling people we should be doing stupid things and then apologizing for them just to make each other feel good. But there is something that feels good about, oh, you didn't want to do that, did you, Farron? That's the thing. The day I stopped using Poopstone was the day I had a Khajiit in the shadow lane. I was trying to go face with it. If I could have gone face with it, game over. I'm pretty sure it was very, very likely because it was one of those hit twice type things. It was one of those kitties. Anyway, and it gave it guard. So my opponent was just able to kill it the next turn. I couldn't keep it in the shadow lane. I was like, okay, Poopstone, you are the worst. And then I think the few other times that I came against it, I just got screwed by Odovine getting lethal and wiping out an entire board full of awesome, amazing, unstoppable, big, beefy bodies that I guarantee you I had on the board, and Poopstone just ruined it all. Anyway, but yeah, it's just an interesting thing, isn't it? That it's, like I said, I just felt very neutral about it. I didn't feel particularly grateful or particularly high on humanity, despite, going however long I went. It was an hour each way. So 2 hours on the road I spent with nary an incident and everything. And I never thought it's so great to be around human beings. Now, granted, I was watching people drive crazy and doing really stupid things, but they didn't do anything that encroached on my terms. So I didn't take any of it personal. I just kind of rolled my eyes like, oh, those are the kind of people that can only do what they do because everybody else is driving like an adult. I think there are people that have a very, very gross misconception that they're good drivers when they drive like idiots and they're speeding and weaving and it's like, oh, look at me, I'm like a super stunt driver. It's like, no, you can only do that because you're essentially on a closed course. You're able to drive like that because nobody else is. If everybody drove like you, it would just be a wreck every single day. You're only able to do what you do. Oh, a singleton by Farion. Maybe that's why he's running Poopstone. So yeah, things just got interesting for Plemzaki. But yeah, so I hope, I genuinely hope that that is a misconception. Or that there is no misconception, that people understand you're only able to drive like an idiot because everybody else is driving like an adult and is being responsible for themselves. But nothing really happened to me, but it took a guy doing something that apologized for it. And I mean, again, I think part of the key is the fact that I was not, there was no harm done, no damage done. And it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't super aggressive. It wasn't super quick. It was just kind of like, oh, all right, I'm going to get over it. And here's the thing, folks, you got to remember, and I'm not speaking for all of you, but I can speak for myself. There have been enough times, probably at least 5 or 6 times in my life where I've made a lane change. And even though I looked and did everything I thought I did, or maybe I didn't, I'm sure, I think I did. I want to say I did, but sometimes you just don't think about it. That was an interesting bit of playing there. I guess he did it just so that he wouldn't give him more card draw, but that looks like a very ripe arrest target, that Night Talon Lord right there. No way to free him up. Oh, Admire Spell Right. That's a card that doesn't get a lot of love. Kind of looks like a nerd. And that shoulder thing looks like a liability. That you turn your head and sneeze at the wrong time, you're going to poke your eye out with that thing. Anyway, But yeah, it was fascinating to me that I felt better about somebody who committed a minor offense and then apologized for it. Like I wanted to be that guy's friend. I was like, he must be an awesome guy. And it's like, why didn't I think that about all the people who didn't do that to me? You know? So it's an interesting thing, but and granted, it's because it was an accident. I think that's the key. When people do something intentionally, they typically don't apologize for it. But I don't know. I just found that odd because I felt a connection, a bond with that guy. And I'm like, but it was only because he did something where he wasn't paying attention. But the point of what I was saying is I have done that same thing many times where I've made a lane change or something and somebody's laying on the horn. I'm like, oh crap, I didn't see you there. Oh geez, I'm so sorry. Now sometimes it ain't my fault because, you know, I check, I look, they're not there. What I'm not seeing is they're one of those idiot drivers, crazy drivers that's going 800 miles an hour and they're weaving in and out of traffic. So when I look back, the lane is clear. I'm not seeing that 6 cars back, this guy's going 85 and a 45 and zigzag through 2 cars and is now pulling up into that lane where I'm about to merge into. So there are times where that kind of nonsense happens, but in general, he's going to kill himself. He's not going to let your... I'm kind of surprised he didn't... I wonder if he remembers that you can kill your own creature with Cicero. Like he could kill his knight. What has he got? Ice Storm? No? Okay, well we're seeing some different stuff here. That's a Singleton Telvanni making good use of Mushroom Tower. It's not just Siege of Stras Makai, blah blah blah. And Plumzaki's, has got the spell right. Hasn't been able to put him to good use, but he's there. I can't remember what he does. When your opponent takes damage, you gain 1 magic this turn. Okay. Interesting. But yeah, I just thought I would share that. I just thought that was a fascinating thing. The nature of apologies, the nature of just being cordial to people. The best thing about Singleton is you get to see it's almost like Arena. You get to see cards that you don't normally see played. And again, he's putting Mushroom Tower to good use. I'm appreciative of that. There are just so many great ways to use those cards. There's so many different ways. You know what? I might actually. I don't know. It might be next week, but I'm gonna make just a Daedra deck. No invade. It's just gonna be a Daedra deck, just to put it out there. Hey. Try to build a tribal deck, a Daedra tribal deck. Not that that's not a mind-blowing thing, but it's just like, hey, like let's not forget that, because I mean, obviously Oreo, Cookie Gal, there's some Daedra that still get played regardless, but I think a lot of the times they kind of get lumped in with invade and nobody wants to touch them, and I don't blame them. But there's some just very fine Daedra that aren't trying to invade; they just want to live happily ever after with everyone, and I think, oof. And that was a good one. But yeah, I totally forgot. I mean, Night Talon Lord with Mushroom Tower, not Night Talon Lord, Night Lord, Blood Dragon, Blood. Whatever. You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm talking about. Blood Magic Lord. No. Whatever. You know what? Blood Magic Lord. Okay, I was right. So Night Talon Lord, Blood Magic Lord. But yeah, using that in conjunction with Mushroom Tower. People usually see the same kind of shenanigans with Mushroom Tower, but I mean, even if it's Raised Dead, that's pretty darn good. The only one that would be kind of a bummer is your Shackle or your Gargoyle. You obviously can't use it for that, but Raised Dead and Drain Life are definitely really good uses with Mushroom Tower. And obviously, because it's Singleton, he's not going to be running 2 altars and 2 amulets and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, it's fun to see that. 1987, probably a birth year. So unfortunately, I can say this because I'm much older. He's an older guy, getting up there in age, as it were.
By the fires of oblivion.
Come to think of it, Daggerfall Mage was calling it before Invade hit. She knew the fires of Oblivion were coming. What that was going to mean for the game.
Your destruction is at hand.
Well, let's see. There's a lot of juicy targets for him to hit, unfortunately. You want it to go face. Oh, for some reason I was thinking one of those supports was altered, that he's going to get nuked, but he's not going to get nuked. Not on this turn, anyway. Opponent does have a lot of Magicka, though. It's rough with Marak, because obviously he's a one-turn wonder. He's going to take up the whole turn, and you got to hold on to him, hoping your opponent's going to drop a game-changing body at the last minute, something that is banking on, like a guard or a drain or something. Okay. All right. Unfortunately, that does hit a ripe target. And just shackling the whole lane. So, good creative stuff there, but definitely a bit of a nuisance if you are Planzaki and you're trying to close the game out. Lyneth, that's always dangerous. Any tutor card is dangerous in the hands of a player who knows how to play. Good gravy. And still has a lot of resources. And you need to get more. Wow. So yeah, Farron really putting that Mushroom Tower to good use. Lots of value. I mean, that spell right is just not getting any. Is it maybe a win condition? I guess maybe just unnecessary. 3/6 is not that big of a body, but just kind of surprised you just kind of chilling there. So Plam's just probably. Do I play anything at all? I mean, he could do the 3/2. There you go. Not too shabby. And probably doing that to... Well, he's already played Dark Rebirth. He can't play that again. So, but just shenanigans. There's definitely ways in Intelligence to... if Lyneth is still on that side of the board, different ways to trigger her again. A Night to Remember, for example. So that was actually a really good heads-up play by Plam. And there's the Siege. So we're going to see a deluge of stuffs. I'll be surprised if one of those assassins doesn't make an appearance before the game's over with. So this is kind of a nice throwback to Control competitions of old. It feels like classic Control, where it's like, all right, to and fro, one. Well, I mean, Plam needs some resources, though. That's the problem. Right now, it's all skewing heavily in favor of Farion. Or Farion. Farion, yeah.
Walk with our...
There's the Marak target.
Gotcha. The next world.
Oh, he's got a squish. For crying out loud, that's the second gosh darn time we've seen that nonsense. I hate squish so much. And just going to do it again. Alright, so never mind. No way to Marak that. And again, Farron was still all the freaking cards in the world. Oy. That is the power of the tower. You can quote me on that. Oops. Because I made it rhyme.
I have many important things on my mind.
That might be a Mirak target. What are you getting? You're getting a Schward? A Poop Stone. Okay. What's interesting... Did Plamzaki, I guess, has maybe Dismantle? Typically you don't have support removal in that deck.
By the 8th, they will meet.
charge, of course. Hmm. Unfortunate, there's really no way to do anything with Oneth. I don't know if he has a... If he runs the Unshackle, the Drez Renegade. Dominion will do 2 damage on summon because Laneth is on the board. And you don't need the drain. So maybe Dominion into Tome just to draw another card and see what's going on. A play might have fallen asleep. This is a drag out game. I mean, it's interesting. But it keeps getting extended by...
I strike like the Mora tongue, swiftly and silently.
Yeah.
This should help.
Okay. Man. I'll be curious to get this in the editing queue and see exactly how long this game has been going on for. Because if this wasn't the very first game, it was like the ooh. All right, now we're starting to see a little bit Pharaon starting to get low on cards, but not significantly. And then this is one of those dangerous things where it feels like each play, it's kind of like, all right, you could or could not do this, but what he plays and doesn't play can really have a ripple effect, and he can go downhill very quick if he expends too many resources or plays the wrong thing. So I definitely can appreciate the time. I kind of want to see that spell right get on the board just because I'm tired of looking at him. Like, get him going there. The poor guy is just like, what do I need to do? Oh, there you go. Okay, so that must have been what took it before. Vicious D. This is for you, Denise. Does not take care of Poop Zone. Does get rid of that Mushroom Tower. Says, I'm tired of you getting value out of it. But I think he's plumbed the depths of that card. I think Pharaon has gotten a ton of value out of that. I don't know that. I mean, if he got there before Siege, at least you know that he avoided that. But it's kind of too little too late at this point, unfortunately. Vicious D showed up all late and whatnot. Vicious, more like pernicious, if pernicious means late and tardy, but it doesn't. Ooh. All right, well, that definitely stings.
I am a child of darkness.
Oh, do you Marak that? Ooh, yeah, I think you Marak that. Because the opponent's starting to... Yep. Yeah, you want the... Yep. Oh, he's playing Unite! That's why he's holding on to the spell right. Boy, I feel like an idiot now. That's why he's holding on to it. He's going to have a hard time getting red. But if he does steal... What's his face? If he steals the 6/5, that does get him purple. And... Yeah. As well as puts him in a good position to not die. Interesting. Okay. All right. So yeah, I think Marak is definitely got to be the play here. No! Wow. Wow, that comes as a surprise. I'm not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. I mean, that's 6 damage coming from that side. That's 11 damage just from the left, from the field lane. I don't know. I don't want to say for sure, but it strikes me that might have been a bit of a misplay. That's just so much damage coming in, and the opponent clearly is not holding back at all. So, I mean, lethal is on the board right now.
Try. Care to go again?
And all you got to do is roll charge on another creature and GG. So I might have... And so he's going to spit out 2. Do the one of these get charge? Rally, drain, okay, no. Oh, but that's right, she's doing her thing. Yeah, I think that's game for Plam, unfortunately. And it might have been even if he hadn't Night Talon Lord. Well, no, yep, there you go. There it is. Wow. Yeah. Good game plan, but boy howdy, oof. This episode sponsored in small part by the legendary Remnant Discord. Link is in the description below. Not much to say about it. It is a Discord featuring the remnant of the TESL community. It is not the entirety of the remnant of TESL community. There are plenty of other Discords out there. There's NPO if you're interested in getting involved in a clan, which I suggest you do, especially if you're new to the game. NPO and Friends are two big ones. Zora is another one out there as well. Gods is out there. There's plenty of them out there. I know a lot of folks specifically from Friends and NPO. They're really good folks. I know the head of NPO. So if you want to check out those groups as well, I don't know that I have them link for the description for or the link in the description for those. But if you start off in the legendary Remnant Discord, you can branch off and find other groups as well. Get help on deck construction. Get some advice. Lots of nifty things can happen. Not a lot of action going on there right now, so I don't want to oversell it, but at least to put you in the mix where if you want to talk or you want to find out about some stuff, you're at least plugged in that regard. But the true sponsor of this video is Throw Voice, a shout from the brilliant mind of Beatrice. And we are getting down to the final bit of shouts. I believe this is next to the last one. Yep, we've got one more to go, and we will have covered the entire library of shouts. But this one is a 3-cost agility. And the shout level 1, target a lane. Move one random enemy creature into that lane. So this is affecting the enemy side of the board. Enemy creatures in that lane take a bonus -1 next time they are damaged. I'm guessing that means -1 health. I mean, now it's an agility, and we're used to seeing like things like drain vitality that do damage to both health and damage. But because it's not specifying otherwise, or it's not a -1/-1, I'm guessing since it's saying the next time damaged, I'm guessing they just take an extra shot. So it's gonna cost you 3. You're gonna move a creature over, so it's 3 cost to effectively move a creature and do a bonus of 1 damage to it the next time it is. Next time it takes damage. So it doesn't have to be that next turn or the turn after that, but the next time it takes damage of any kind, it's going to take an extra 1 bit of damage. Second tier, target lane, same thing. You're moving 2 random creatures. Oh no, wait a minute. Okay, sorry. These are random. Okay, let's focus on that. First one, it's going to random creatures. So you can't say, hey, I want to move this one over there. You just say, I play this card and it's going to randomly move 1 creature. Second one is going to randomly move 2 enemy creatures into that lane and do an extra 2 points of damage to that creature when it takes damage at all. And level 3 is move all enemy creatures to that lane. So there's no more randomness. Every enemy creature that can fit, I guess, goes over there. Which I guess that makes so. Yeah, I'm guessing as many as you can move that are already there. So if you have 2 creatures in each lane, or 3 creatures in each lane, you can only move 2 of 1 creature into that one, unless it's kind of like a grand ball where it's moving both lanes to the other lane. So I'm not really sure how that dynamic works, but it is you still target a lane, and it does 3 damage, bonus damage to all the next ones. So this is a little bit more of a moving parts shout. There's comparatively a lot of complexity to it. It doesn't have an immediate impact, so that is a bit of a downer. Well, I guess other than the lane change, but the fact that it's random. So this one's it's a lot of fun. It's a great concept. Throw voice, I guess literally is causing the confusion. You're going. I mean, I know it's an actual shout, but it's like I'm trying to think of how it translates in the mechanic, because Beatrice is very good about making sure that the functionality of the card tries to match what it actually does in the game in like Skyrim. So I guess I'm just not as familiar enough with Throw Voice, but I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. So the immediate impact is random and somewhat mitigated if you talk about level 3. The good news is what kind of offsets it is that it is a lower cost shout, which is kind of typical of agility anyways. They're typically some of the cheaper shouts. And so it's forcing a random lane change, but it may not be a lane change that you want. That's the downside of it. You could say, I mean, there's going to be certain cards that you don't want to lane change. Maybe you have a creature in the lane to address that one particular card, and you don't want that one to move. So this one could have the chance to harm you just as much as it could help you. So I think the 3 is probably a fine cost, but I don't know that there's just so much stuff. So the immediate impact is random until you get to level 3, in which case it's guaranteed to move all the creatures. But again, you may not necessarily want to do that. I mean, if you've got the board set up and then you draw this card, you're like, I kind of need to hold on to it. I mean, now it is an agility, so you could also have lane change cards. So you could change the lane of the creature and then change your own lane, and then you're doing that extra point of damage. But it's really, really kind of a small upside, I would say, especially for level 1 and 2. Level 2 obviously it's moving 2 creatures and giving them they're going to take an extra -2, or you just say -2 to their health in general. It's not going to kill them, but it's like when they take damage. But that's the other thing too. So the immediate effect is random for the most part. And the next in time it actually works, unless you've already got a creature poised to attack, is you're waiting for that next bit of damage. So it's not going to actually give them a -2. It is you'd have to demark it somehow or marcate it somewhere in there so that you'd know that card now has 2 less health, but only if it's attacked. So if you shoot it with a firebolt or attack it with a creature, it's going to have 2 less health, but it doesn't lose that health off the jump. It's almost like the contract, the writ of execution, which, I mean, that one's unconditional removal, I guess, unless it's silenced, which would probably be the same thing with this one. The difference is that one is guaranteed the creature is dead and you can pick your target, whereas here, whoever takes that knock is random and it may not. And it's only going to lose 2, which, depending on how much health it has, it may or may not be an issue. So this one is something I don't know that would get a lot of play as it is. I think the cost is probably fine. You might even be able to knock that down to 2, just because you got so much randomness and it requires so many. You'd be able to do so many other things. I mean, I like it because it's fun in terms of it can really change the math all over the board. It changes where your opponent is, who you're going to be able to attack with, what you're set up to do, what your opponent may be expecting to do. So it's a good kind of like a board reset, like throwing a wrench in the mix. It's gonna reset the board to a significant degree, put your opponent at a disadvantage inherently because of the -2 or the -3, but it could also screw you over just as much. So it's kind of a mixed bag, and yeah. So it's definitely an interesting call. I'm just not entirely sure if I don't think it's going to replace Drain Vitality for anybody, is I guess my point. And I'm not sure exactly what the card art is. I'm trying to see here. I may have a different. I can't not see it. So what it looks like to me, this looks like a very long head with the ears at the top. It's like we're looking over the shoulder of somebody who's looking out. So we're seeing the 2 leg zombie guys, but in the foreground, that big object in the foreground, to me, because I'm expecting to see it like it's we're looking over the shoulder of somebody who's looking out at those 2 people. But the only way that works then is if this big goofy thing at the top here is an ear, and it's got this giant jaw and this long neck and then this weird shoulder thing. I don't think I'm seeing it right. I'm pretty sure I'm not seeing this correctly, but I don't know how to unsee it. I can't. It's one of those things where it's like it's one of those things. It's like it says, hey, you'll either see a lion or a duck. If you see the lion, it can almost be impossible to stop seeing the lion. So I'm seeing the back of somebody's head, but they would have to have a really goofy head for that to be the ear at the top, and then have this be the jawline going down to what looks like a very bizarre collar. So my interpretation of the card art is probably not any better than my interpretation of the efficacy of this particular card, but it was fun to think about, fun to look at. Beaters, thank you so much again for putting this card together. I do like I said, it does change up the dynamics of the board significantly in unpredictable ways that can both be of help and harm. So anyway, fun to look at. Thank you all so much for taking a gander. And now let's get you back to the games. See if there's any more lessons we can learn from top end player. Looks like up against Max Gray. Have not heard that name before, but he's a top 10 player running, Support Crusader. I guess anything that you can pretty much pair any color with willpower and run the aggressive version of support.
Praise to Namir.
I don't think I've seen Spell Sword.
Fear is the ancient darkness.
spell sword support. The only time I ever see spell sword as a deck is it's running factotums and things like that, and that's game. Okay, well, all right. Okay, well, support Crusader. It does things. Krakatoa. Yeah. Oh, no, just kidding. Just kidding. Carbon 77. My man. All right. Okay. Well, that is...
That was fought well.
That was fought well indeed. So we almost got nipped, but we did not. We got to see the state of the board at least before lethal was dealt. So well done, Carbon, but I didn't get to see the struggle, the strain, the pain. Ahmed 9894. Oops. Just kidding. Edmorn. Last time we watched Edmorn, I believe, got the raw end of the deal from a market archer. So just a PSA, folks. Friends, don't let friends go to the market. If it feels too easy to win with the deck, it's because it is.
Keep your distance.
And if you want to beat the crap out of the AI with that nonsense, go for it. But against another opponent, because I mean, like I said, we've had I've uninstalled the game before just because I get burned out. But you know, I had a friend that who's a high level player. You know, is a frequent legendary player. I think top 100 for sure, maybe even top 10. And just was like, you know what? I came across like 3 decks that were just running the Alduin loop, and it just got really old. And so, I mean, that's a sad fact. The sad truth is, if you want to be able to keep playing against other human beings, you can't. Like, nobody wants to play with a jerk, or you know, it's. And I'm not saying that people are necessarily jerks in real life, but in this game, there are ways you can play, things you can do that kind of make you a TESL jerk in the scope of the game, and people don't want to play with you. And so, if you burn enough people out by playing janky nonsense, and I'm not talking about fun jank, I'm talking about bad jank, talking about like easy crap. I just want an easy win. Well, then you'll be playing against yourself, because eventually everybody else will stop.
Do not vex
Because they'll just get burned out. They're like, all I play against are these lazy decks. They're just no fun to play against. The game has to. You don't have to win every time, but you have to enjoy the process. If you don't, the game's over, and you know. You have 20 people left, all of them playing invaded market and market decks, and they just antagonize each other for the entire season, I guess. But anyhow, that's just a thought. If we want to keep the game alive, and we do, we don't want to be burning people out. And it's not that we're responsible. Like I'm not trying to say, well, you need to play this way, otherwise you're a bad person. Or, you know, it's your fault if the person uninstalls the game. It's their own choice. But most of the folks that I've talked to that run these things, they know damn well that they're running annoying decks, they're doing annoying things, and they just get off on it. And it's like, but you understand that you do that enough and people are just going to concede. You know, and they just don't, they're not going to want to play with you. And I guess some people don't care. That's a lot of silencing.
Do not vex me.
Not really a lot of good options here for Edmond.
We die together.
I'm trying to remember, who was it? It was Arrakis that was up against the Ebon Slay last time. But we know, I mean, there's so many cards there. All it's going to take is a Squish and Night Talon, and Edmorn could very well face the same fate as Arrakis, and could very well just, I mean, again, doing that damage and not able to close it out. Now, the only difference is that Edmorn does not, or that DJ does not yet have, there's that nonsense, does not yet have 18 Magicka, so it can play like a Rage and whatever card. Ooh. I'm kind of beefy now. All right. Does he mute? He does mute. Trying to keep his board alive.
Walk with our Lord.
Oh boy. That's painful. That's painful. Oh, and that's a top deck, isn't it? Good gravy. Well, hey, sometimes things roll your way. You can't, yep. Oh, I got nothing to say. I've been on both sides of that, where I've got shut down by a Dark Seducer, and I've also had where I've played a Dark Seducer or played a card that I'm like, hey, it's a guard and drain. I'm in good shape as long as they can't remove. Oh, okay, they just removed it. Oh, they just silenced it. GG. Your top decking has gotten better. Most impressive. Because you know he was sweating as soon as that Dark Seducer came down. I mean, that's game. That is game over right there because he couldn't have killed her. I'm a Gacket. Nope, just kidding. Sizzlewood, no. Ahmed, not playing. Oh, no, Ahmed is playing. Okay, excellent. Oh, right. We saw him last time. It's just the game was over pretty much like this. So, Phantomaic? Considering I've lost like every other game you watched today, right? No, trust me, Edwin. I was not saying you got, oh, you're so lucky. I was just, it was the joke of the top deck, since that's like one thing we have zero control over in this game.
I keep a spare blade.
But it's nice when it goes your way, when your opponent is doing janky stuff and getting away with crazy stuff. It's nice to be able to get a card that you need as well. But I mean, I said it at the top of the other video, it can be exactly. And I will let him know. Yeah, no, oh, it was ripe. Don't get me wrong. Just a nice turn of events. Yeah. But I was just saying, I think at the top of the other videos, if your opponent beats you, because they've got, not a lightning bolt, not a lightning bolt, not a lightning bolt, not a lightning bolt. Lightning bolt is bad in so many ways right now. But I mean, it's not the end of the world, but it's just not really good. Lightning bolt, and okay, does not go to face, but that was one of the ways it was going to be pretty bad. So either Fell the Mighty on the 4/4. Okay, yep. And it's not gonna break that rune. Doesn't need it. He's got lethal in that left lane, in the shadow lane, as long as his opponent does not have a way to push through, and it looks like he doesn't.
I'm ready.
Okay, no longer has lethal. I should have. Oh, well, no, he does. Crusader's Assault. Ooh. Okay, he's pushing. I mean, two runes, and that's gonna do it. Nice. Good game, Ahmed. Good game. Way to finish that off as a nice turnabout there. Okay. Magacket. Okay, or Arrakis. Arrakis jumped to the front of the line. Blonde Eagle, 831. I'm just picturing a eagle with the white, the white head essentially thing, and then just this like shock of like blonde hair, or blonde feathers, or whatever the heck that is. What is that? The feathers are on the wings. What the heck do eagles and stuff? What do they have on their? It's not all feathers, is it? No, that would look weird. So they have fuzzies or something, right? I've never thought about that before. What do those birds have on their face if they aren't feathers? Just enough to take out the Pilfer Kitty.
Together we will make a fortune.
Which is very lucky. That would have been a lethal kitty. He's such a pain in the butt though. At 3/5, he's just so hard to get rid of.
Well, let's see if we can find something useful.
Okay.
You anger Khajiit.
There isn't a lock that will keep
They
this one
make
out.
it too easy.
Okay, continuing to push. Luckily, Arrakis has a discounted Ascended. And he can play a Brynjolf next turn. A Brynjolf as well, which will need to be addressed by Blonde Eagle unless he can close the game out this turn, which with what he's got, I don't think he can. And obviously Arrakis has Drain coming in from Shadow Lane, so it gives his opponent an extra card, and is he going to choose to do that? That's the question. Does he choose to take on the extra 5 health? He doesn't need it technically. But I mean, we know if you play this game for any length of time, you know Pilfer can go crazy, especially with that Master of Thieves on there. You can look at it and go, there's no way, but it's like, oh, they get to hit twice. They stack. Oh, and then they've got a Swift Strike. Game over. So he's very fortunate Arrakis had another guard to put down there. And it's good to see the Ascended Sleeper. I mean, I don't particularly like those creatures. I think their aesthetic is god-awful, but the card and what it does is nice to see there, specifically as a... usually the only you see Daddy Dagoth and you see those the Hand of Dagoth. You don't really see too many of the other. Well, they're the only other tri-attribute in House of Dagoth. So I guess that, yeah. Ugh, creepy guys, creepy. Not judging, just saying, creepy.
Khajiit will kill that.
All right, so I can hit twice.
Pay to pass unhindered.
Does not do so. Okay. So Arrakis is in a good position, but I mean not a similar situation, but he was in kind of the similar situation with the Slay Ebonheart Slay. But I think he's just going to be able to finish it off here. Hit for 7. Or do you hit with 13 first to make sure you don't... Oh no. Well, 3. He's going to have 2 left, so he can get up to 16. So yeah, well... Oh yeah, okay, does not risk the prophecy. Or does... Risks the prophecy, but not the... Yeah, there you go. Nicely done, Arrakis. It can be tempting. I mean, typically the way you play, you want to skip as many runes as you can, but you run the risk if your opponent does hit a prophecy on one of those that it's going to nuke or restrain or screw up your big body that you're trying to hit with to skip those runes, and you can lose it all. So I think it was better to get the draw, better to get the hit than risk not getting it. As stupid as that sounds, it's actually very brilliant. If you don't get it, you just don't get it, man, okay? All right, so we got Rumen 2012 battling in versus. All right, let's take a gander here. Oh, I forgot to give him a good game, but he knows. Arrakis knows. Oh, this could be a long one. We've got Telvanni on Telvanni.
Thorns and claws.
And we are getting into the late game here. Obviously, Telvanni most of the time is not particularly worried about getting the game done in an expedient way, so they're both kind of taking their time.
Forget about seeing me. Everyone does.
See, it blows my mind. I was told that the card back that I like is actually the Gray Fox's helmet or hat or cowl or whatever it is, but it doesn't look like the same thing, does it? The card back I'm talking about where it looks like an Imperial helmet. It's got the little eyes and it's got like these runes going down the front. Apparently, that's the Gray Fox's little headgear there, but I did not realize. So we could be in for a relatively long battle, which I guess would be a fitting bookend since we started off with the long one. I think we did. Yeah. Sometimes the games kind of blur together. Oh, I thought he was going to take out the Gray Fox, but he went for the optimized play there. I'm always afraid of that just because typically that kind of thing happens where my opponent has a way to make that card survive. So if I think I call that the greedy play, where technically which doesn't mean that you're a greedy person or a bad person. It just means you made the trade that allowed gives you the most potential value, But if your opponent can change the status of the board, you just end up losing out, and they get to keep a creature alive that you rather would have had them not. But he does have the negation. He's got his Ice Storm of his own, which is probably what we're going to see here.
I strike like the Moratorium.
Yeah.
It's okay. Stay behind me.
It's okay. Stay behind me. Yeah. I mean, way to go, game, for putting a card in that we never ever see, but Blade's Guardian. Give a creature in the other lane +1/+1 a guard. That's actually not a bad card per se. I'm kind of surprised that it doesn't get a lot of love. I mean, you may be sitting there going, are you kidding? That's the worst card ever. But I don't know. I kind of like it. I'll have to look into that one. Is that blood coming down from the top there? I think it's supposed to be like, you know, rockets or molten stuff or whatever, but it kind of looks like blood. Shiny, very bright blood, but... And the dagger. Make the dagger. Hello. All right, so Rimmon is now officially on the offensive. Probably not going to back that down. Once you provoke Telvanni, or Telvanni just decides it's going to go for face, it usually ends up going face. And either Desdi is sitting on 2 Ice Storms,
Smell the stench of the living.
or is running a Singleton, or what are the other options here? Nope, no, definitely not a Singleton. Okay. Or just sitting on a bunch of Ice Storms. There we go. There's the one. And can't play the other one even if you had it.
Of the living.
Oh gosh. Oh. All right. So no real good offensive weapons here for Rimmon. Best thing is Headless Zombie and play something else and pull a card with it. No, okay, he's gonna hold on to it. Trying to bait out that Ice Storm, maybe? Might not have one. I mean, maybe the deck only runs 2. Oof. Lots of value to be had there, but the good thing for Rimmon is Destiny is running a little light on cards at the moment. Okay, just kidding. Oy vey, oy vey. There's Rimmon's Ice Storm. Darn you, Spooter. I mean, yay, Spooter. We love the Spooter. Yeah, I think this will be our the final game here, however it goes down. Hopefully we'll be able to end on a W.
The day is yours.
All right, well... no sooner had I said the words than Rimmon decides it is time to call the game, and with that, we will call the day for right now. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, keep playing.